I just want to be honest to you guys. I'm not a tech guy, okay? But today, for me, it's a little bit like coming home. And I will tell you why, but in 20 minutes, okay? Before we start, I just would love to have an experiment with you guys, okay? In the next 10 seconds, I'm going to show you a picture. It's not that picture of a giraffe. It will be another picture. I'm going to show you a picture. And please take a look at the picture itself. Think about the story behind the picture. And then tell the story to your neighbors on the left, on the right, okay? I will show you the picture. It's a car from Vienna. There is a car. There is a guy sitting in the car, and two guys are running to the car. Both guys are black. What is happening on that picture? So please think about it for just a second. And now share the story with your neighbor. Please, now. Strong. So what gets... Okay, people are chatting, telling itself stories. People are laughing. Wonderful. Okay, everyone. And now, and let's see who was right and who was wrong. Let's take a look at the video of the story.
What? Yeah. We hit spitting to you. What? I came to strike. You wanna be paid? We go get it to you. Bad dog, we scrap for fun. Don't bring a knife when you know you need gas and go like loud. We snap your knees, twist G's. Yeah. See, you don't want it with me, bitch. Please.
Sucker to you.
What?
Too late for you to turn me off and on.
Yeah.
They show it to you.
Yeah.
Rock, loosen up, one steel.
Yeah.
But give it up, cough it up, and useless steel. Got down.
Come on. What? Yeah. What?
Okay, who was right on the story? Raise your hand for a second. Guys, take a look around yourself. I think I only see 5 or maybe 6 hands. Okay, the crazy part is I just showed you a picture and I framed the picture for you. I told you where to look at, and you did. Then I told you have time to think about the story, and then I said to you, guys, tell each other a story now. And most of you guys in the room, you were able to tell each other a story without having any facts about it. We're so good in the world telling each ourselves some stories and to broadcast the stories, but we do not do something I call deep casting, going deep, taking a look behind the facts. We have this brain in ourselves which is telling ourselves stories constantly on a daily basis, but the truth is that most of the time we have no idea what is under the surface. And this is also happening in humanity these days. You have new technologies, you see the newspapers, and you think you know how the world is working without going deep. In a world where we have so much AI slop these days, and where we know that approximately 90% of every content on YouTube is going to be AI slop until the end of the year. A world where everyone tells us wipe coding is the new shit. The question is, where are the people who go deep, who understand what is happening behind the systems, behind the content creation? It's very important that we understand that we have a new age in front of us, an age of responsibility where it comes to self-responsibility. I still remember when I started my career, more than 20, 25 years ago, there was a world where you had the leaders who were able to tell you what to do. It was a very stable world. It was very easy to make plans for the next 5 or 10 years. But that world has totally changed. And now today we're talking about something called a Barney world. Maybe you heard the phrase. It's a world where a lot of people are like, I have no idea what's going on in the world these days. And no matter if you talk to a CEO, to an intern, to a pupil, to parents, to a taxi driver, you talk to someone who's working here at the Cineplex cinemas, we're all now in the same boat. Everyone is asking the question, what is going on in the world these days? And this change happened more than 10 years ago, where all the leaders inside of an organization said, I have no idea where the journey is going, but what I need to do is I need to implement a system where we can leverage the potential of each and everyone inside of the organization. This was the time when leaders found out that it's much, much better being a mentor or a coach and to help people to understand that at the end, no one is responsible for you. It's not your CEO, it's not the politicians, it's only you and yourself. Because the age we're having in front of us will be based on one simple question. Do I understand what is really going on? Not only in society, also in my job. Or am I one of the people who is just like, okay, everything is so easy with AI. I just need to read the headlines. Then I understand. And this is so important and so dangerous at the same time because we need to understand who is the person who asks the question and gives the answers. I truly believe we should be the people. When AI came out a few years ago in the masses, I saw that a lot of people were like, oh, I need to do some marketing stuff. I asked ChatGPT. And then they were like, oh, it's not that good. I need to understand the formulas behind it. I need to understand the context. When the stuff came to software engineering, to vibe coding, a lot of people were like, oh, now I'm a coder. But when something happens, who is the one person who understands the system behind it? The thing is, we all want to stay unique. But staying unique means doing the work to understand what is really going on in the world. Otherwise, you're just a consumer. You're not a producer and a creator. And to be honest, when I started in the field of tech more than 20 years ago, I started because I wanted to be a creator of something. For me, tech was always magic. And you know, when you go to a theater and you see a magician on stage, when you're a human being, you're curious and you want to know exactly how he or she is doing it. And this was the thing why I started in tech. But later a little bit more on that. Is the microphone okay? Is it okay? Okay, it's just a problem for me. Okay, then everything's fine. I'm today the CEO of an organization called Future One, and our main mission is to bring humanity, love, and a new performance culture back to society. So what we do, 50% of our time is we work with organizations worldwide, with small organizations, large organizations worldwide. I also teach a lot, and it's always about transformation. It's about bringing a future mindset into the organizations, no matter if they're the leaders or the interns and so on. This is 50% of my time. And the other 50% of my time, I do this. I go to school, I work with kids worldwide. It looks like top right corner. I worked with kids from Bangladesh to the US to South America, and of course, a lot of them in Europe. And I still remember when I was a kid, I always wanted to go abroad. I always wanted to go to US. I was always like, yeah, if I want to do something, I need to go somewhere else. And then I realized that Europe is one of the best places in the world, where you have so much talent, where you have so many things you can do. And therefore, I also decided staying a European, staying in Austria. And my own life started in Iran in the year 81. So I'm now 44. And when I was born in Iran, the problem was that there was a regime. And so my parents, they were forced to flee from their own country. I was 2 years old when we had to leave the country. And we came to Europe as refugees. And I grew up in a refugee camp. And when you're growing up as a stranger in a strange world, no one believes in you. You have no idea what to do. When I was 13 years old, my parents broke up. I started to stutter. Until I was 22 years old, I was not able to say a word in a right way. And so school was very hard for me. Okay? These are my grades. 5 is not that good. 1 is the best. You can imagine it was not the easiest way being a kid in school. The behavior in school was not satisfying. But it was not satisfying because I was never there. Sorry. I was so afraid of talking in front of people in school that I stayed at home, or I went to basketball or did something else. When you have grades like this and you're a refugee and you're stuttering, people tell you what? They tell you a career is not possible for you. Therefore, I was a school dropout and I started to be a floor cleaner. I worked in more than 40 jobs on construction sites and so on. And I really had no idea what to do, but there was this one love I always had, was always technology. Because when I was working with computers, there was no bias from the computer system itself. It was something I could understand. It was something where I had this feeling I can do something. But in the school where I was, no one told me this is also a thing. And in school, I thought I was an idiot because my grades were not that good. And I still remember one day after cleaning floors at a supermarket, I saw one of my former teachers. And he asked me one simple question. He said, Ali, are you happy with your life? And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, okay, so the answer is no. And we talked to each other, and he said to me, Ali, you're in Austria. Education is nearly for free. Do something out of it. Do something you love. And I said to him, do you remember in school my grades? I was an idiot when it came to learning. Learning is nothing for me. And he said, Ali, do you really think you were an idiot? You had a hard time. Okay. But there was one thing you really loved the most. Whenever we talked about computers, about computer science, software, hardware systems, and so on, you were always like, oh, I love that. But there was no place for it. And I was like, okay, what should I do? He said, Ali, you're in Austria. Use your time, work full time. Okay, you need the money, but after work, you can go to school for software engineering or something like this. You can study. For me, it was like, what? Learning technological stuff so for myself, it was like a dream. And I still remember, this is one picture. This is the first time I'm showing the pictures to anyone. It was the pictures my mom took one day. You see the books on my table, C++. You see the books there, Linux. I was a freak about it. In my whole spare time, I was sitting at home at nights and I was playing with the stuff. And for me, it was play. I never thought about having a career on it. And because this one teacher told me, hey, Ali, you have this potential, try it. I started going to a school with the focus on software engineering in Austria because it was for free, but it was hard. So free is not always easy. And I finished the school as the best student out of anyone. And then I said to myself, oh, I want to do more. And I started going to the university with the focus on distributed software systems and services. I also finished that after 2 years instead of 3 years. I was the fastest student at that time. And the crazy thing was that this thing, which was it was like a game for me. It was like magic. It became my job. It became the world where I was able to show other people I'm able to do something because I love it. For me, it was magic. The real job I had, the first one, was at Siemens. It's that one. I was in the SAP technological area. But when I was at school, so when I was at the university learning this stuff, I learned software engineering. I also learned COBOL and stuff like this, and assembler and stuff like this. So really hard coding on wire, you could say. So I was a real nerd at that time. So that picture, you could say, I was young and I needed the money, okay? It was starting at Siemens, then I became an engineer, I was a consultant. At that, I got hired by a company called Sun Microsystems from the Silicon Valley, Stanford University Networks. And for me, it was like, wow, I can now work there. And it's 20 years ago. And that was the first company which really said that the network is the computer. Their slogan was literally, the network is the computer. And for me, it was like, wow. The whole world can be your software layer. This was amazing for me. Yeah, maybe it's not only me who thinks that this is disturbing. Everything's fine. We have time. Okay. But when I started at Sun Microsystems in the beginning, I had a different job. I was a software engineer. That's me on the left. So you can see there was a lack of sleep because I was up all night and because I was working on the technology day and night. I loved it so much. The guy on the right was our CTO, John Fowler at the time. Then the financial crisis, they hit the market. The company got sold to Oracle. And I asked myself, what I've learned on my journey? And it was that when I was a kid, no one told me that follow your talents can end up in something you really love to do. And so I became a teacher alongside my jobs in the field of tech. Because I believed when you work with kids, you can teach them what is the most important thing about life. It is staying authentic, being curious, being interested in stuff. And when you're interested in something, although all of your friends are not, this is your path. You shouldn't do this stuff for others. You should do it for yourself. This was one of the most important things. And I still remember when I talked to the kids about their future. And I asked them, guys, what is it what you want to do with your life? They always told me, we have no idea where to go. Especially the girls, for example. I saw that there were a lot of talent in the field of tech. And I told them, guys, tech was always good to me. Maybe you will also try it. And what I heard was that a lot of girls told me, Ali, I would love to, but my dad told me the tech stuff is more for the boys. It's not for the girls. And I realized that no one in the world was going deep on their belief system. They heard it from someone else, told it to their kids. And the kids, although they had the talent and they were very curious about technology, said to themselves, it's not something for me. And then I realized that as a teacher, my job is to go deep, telling them the truth. And the truth, for example, when it comes to software engineering is, first software engineers in the world, women. Then I realized there are so many false behavioral systems in the world about so many things in the world, and especially when it comes to tech, but also when it comes to leadership, for example. A lot of girls told me they want to take the lead somewhere, but this is more something for the boys. Then I had to tell them, no, guys, the real world is a little bit different. It's not that men are better, women are better, no. But we need to understand that there is no such thing like you're not good enough for something based on your gender, for example. And what happened at that time was I realized that something inside of me was triggered. And I have a very strong belief system inside of myself. I believe that every human being who is born on this planet should have the chance to find their own calling, no matter who you are and where you're from. And this is the good thing about tech. Tech, so when you deal with tech, it's very neutral to you. It's just working based on the input you're giving it. But it works with everyone. And I still remember I was so angry about the education system at the time and what people thought about the potential of others that I asked myself, can I do something with my technological background and the stuff I've learned in my life? How can I combine technology and everything I learned in a solution? And I still remember when I was a kid, until I was 10 years old, everything I had on my body was secondhand from someone else. We never had the money. And so when you don't have the money to go to the cinemas or having at home some toys and so on, you listen to your parents a lot. My father always told me one simple thing. You know, Ali, what you do with the opportunities in your life is entirely up to you. Because he said to me, you know, there will always be people out there with more resources, more chances, more friends, better network, and so on. Totally up to you what you are doing with your opportunities. And it's like, guys, being here at the conference. Of course, you can sit in your seats the whole day, but maybe your neighbor is also sitting next to you, but that person decided today, I'm going to talk to the people. I ask questions. I want to be part of the community as an active member. Both people are here today. One person will be richer in their mindset, in their knowledge, in their resources. Because you take, on an active level, you take action. This is something I learned from my dad. And I still remember when I was a kid, I always wanted to know everything about every life story about the world. I always said to my dad, I'd love to have a book of life stories where I can learn from the life stories of other people. And so when I was a teacher, I thought, hey, I had this idea as a kid, a handbook of life stories. I know how distributed systems work. I can program on myself. I understand web services and stuff like this. Maybe I can combine it. And as a teacher in my spare time, I started putting all of this stuff together and creating a handbook of life stories for the kids who had no idea what to do in their life.
야, 내 나이가 어때서 사랑의 나이가 있나요?
There are many things I love very much. I chose to be a chef, not because I wanted to cook, but because I wanted to see the world. I didn't want to stay in Austria for all my life, so I chose to become a chef, and I love it.
all the opportunities that I had, they're not very common for those people that come from the same background, that come from the same place where I come from. I studied in a public school. I had the chance to actually live what most people live here. But, getting access to education is not possible for everyone. So I just wanted to make sure that I would be able to help others get the same opportunities that I've had the chance to have.
Where I started Kung Fu is because my teacher coming and say, "Oh, do you interested in Kung Fu?" I say, "What is Kung Fu?" They say, "You know the movie Shaolin Temple?" I say, "Yes." "And they have weapons?" "Yes." "Do you like play that?" I say, "Yes." A couple of years, I feel it's not exactly like that fun. It's more tired, more, painful. No. That is. Oh, that's good. It's lots of you should lost.
My name is Alessia Elize. I'm a freelance art director at Vogue.
My name T. I am tuk-tuk driver. Liang Shi, head of development, Village Roadshow Pictures Asia.
Learn as much as possible from those who want to teach you. And there's a lot of experienced people around, people who did mistakes before you, people who made things good. Just learn from them. That's the most important thing.
I still remember when I started the whole idea, it was just a little website with just 17 stories with random people I took on the streets of Vienna. And then the platform started to grow, and it started to reach out to millions of users out there who wanted to learn from stories from other people out there. And I still remember that people told me, you need to go to the valley, to Silicon Valley. And I was like, no, I found the best talent actually in Europe. And so we decided staying here, and it started to grow like crazy with all of the talent we had here, all the technology we had here. And I sold the company a few years ago, but I still remember when I started in the beginning, it was just being curious and being ready to blame yourself in the eyes of others. It was just like, you have an idea, you want to do something, how can you do it? And in this field, tech was my best friend because I was able to do the magic stuff. And I was so happy that I understood the concept behind everything. Because when you understand tech on a deep level, everything can change on the top layer. You will always understand what is going on. And when you have people who only understand the top levels, when the top level changes and these people have no idea what is going on at the layers underneath, they will have a problem. And this helped me a lot, also as the CEO of a company at that time. And for me, it was so important understanding that one of the most important things in life is that you always need to become a teacher when you're good at something. So when you're learning something new and you understand, wow, I'm good at it, I totally understand the whole stuff, then your job is to teach it to others. Whenever you learn something in life, you have to give it away to others because this is what makes us human. This is so important. I don't mean so just the knowledge. This is something you can Google. I mean the wisdom, the experience, knowing how to deal with situations. And this is something I really learned. And sometimes people are like, okay, so what is the most important thing we need to teach to kids? And actually, I'm married. This is my wife, Anna. The person on the left, it's me. Okay. We have 2 little daughters. These are my daughters, 2 and 6 years old. And the thing is, on the day they were born, they had no idea about the world. They had no idea about anything. Educational system, retirement, and so on. The only thing which was important for them is the only thing which is important for us until the day we die. Where's the next toilet, eating stuff, being loved, and so on. People want to be seen. This is the most important thing for all of us. We want to be seen. When you start to be honest to yourself, you also want to be seen. We call it love, we call it respect, we call it seeing each other on eye level. And today in the morning, when I left, my daughter asked me, so she's my 6-year-old, she asked me, Dad, where are you going? And I told her, I'm going to the cinema. She was like, what are you doing at the cinema? And I told her in the beginning there will be a lot of stickers. Okay, she was like, oh, amazing, but why are you there? And I told her in the audience there are a lot of people who are pros in the field of tech and so on. I tried to explain to her the whole thing. And she said, okay, when these people are so good in their jobs, why do they need you? And I was like, yeah, you're totally right. Maybe I can bring a new perspective into the game. And I thought that I think one of the most important things I need to bring into the game is something we do not talk a lot about it when it comes to learning new stuff. And it's the strongest power we have when it comes to learning something new, because it's based on relationships. You know, when you talk to a lot of experts these days at conferences, when you read the books, when you read the papers, you see that there are 4 things we as human beings need to master to be ready for the future, okay? And a lot of people are like, you know, Ali, not everyone is like that. Not everyone is questioning everything and so on. And the truth is, there are 2 things for the human brain, 2 skills you can master. And when you master these 2 skills once, you can be sure that no matter what is in front of you, you will also master that. Because these 2 skills I'm going to show you now are the hardest thing for the human brain to learn until the day you die. So the hardest thing to learn is the mother language. It's the first language you're going to learn. And the fun part is on the day you were born, you had no idea if you were born in Austria, you were born in Italy, in France, in the US, in Japan. You had no idea. But after 2 or 3 years, you're running around speaking the language fluently out of nothing. Without a teacher, without someone judging you, giving you a mark or something like this. There was no teacher teaching you mother language. You learned it because there were people around you who started to get into a relationship with you, your parents. Mom, dad, uncle, aunts, and so on. They started to talk to you. They showed you how to. You tried to do it in the same way, but you failed, of course. And then you said as a kid stuff like gaga and so on. And no one told you, this is a mistake. It's not going to work. They believed in you. They trusted you that you need your time as long as they stay in a relationship with you and as long as they play with you. And they gave you an environment where you can grow. After 2 or 3 years, you're running around speaking the language out of nothing. And today we have adults in the world who are like, you know, when it comes to learning a language, I'm not that talented. And then you have people around you who tell you stuff like, you know, some people are talented, others are not. Then you start to tell yourself the story of your limitations of learning. And the problem is when you see limitations in yourself, you also see limitations in others. Helping other people to grow starts always with helping yourself to grow and see your own limitations. The second hardest thing for the human brain to learn is called walking around. You learned walking around by just observing the people around you who showed you how to. And then something happened. You thought, oh, I can do this on my own. And then you hit the floor. You crashed the floor. Rock bottom. You made a mistake, but you know what, guys? No one told you this is a mistake because this is called learning. You see someone, you try to do it on yourself. These people create an environment when you can experiment on yourself. You try it over and over again. You made mistake after mistake, but while everyone crashing, but every time when you crash the floor, you learn a way how not to do it, and you adapt immediately. In today's world, we need to go back to that, because in today's world, everything is so easy. You go to an AI prompt, and you're like, I need a picture of this and that. Boom, it's there. And you think you're the artist? Art without knowing the artist is worth nothing. Some people are like, oh, I love to wipe code. Yeah, but do you really think you're a programmer? When you do not understand what's going on under the surface? Because we as human beings, we're born to understand the world by hitting the floor. Who in this room has kids who are able to talk? Raise your hands, no matter if they still talk to you or not. This is a different question. Okay. When kids start to talk, what is the first question every kid asks in the beginning? Why? It's the why question. They want to know everything. Why is the moon in a round shape? Everything. They want to know everything. And we sometimes tell them, don't ask too many questions. It's disturbing. So when you take a look at human beings these days, you need to understand that we as human beings, we were born to question everything. And on the other side, and this is the last thing I want to show you, is we sometimes think that we're not good in collaborating with others. Some people are more open or not. But when you take a look at studies, and I'm a friend of data, when you take a look at studies, they showed kids that a stranger, in this case, it's a stranger, they showed a kid with the help of a stranger that someone was in need. And the question was, we as human beings, how do we interact with other people when we see they need us? And it turned out that 90% of the kids helped immediately and unconditionally. The parents of the kids, they were in the room, but just for safety reasons. They were not allowed to tell the kids, come on, go there, be a good boy, help. And they were not allowed to tell the kids, oh, good boy, I love you so much. You helped someone. Oh, I love you. They were not allowed to push their emotions and their expectations on the kids. And it turned out that 90% of human beings, when they're kids before kindergarten, they're helping each other unconditionally. Because we were born to do this. So when you're here at the conference, the biggest question is, what is your job here? Is it just sitting around and taking a look around to other people's knowledge and wisdom? Or is it just putting yourself into the game? The most important thing as human beings is going back to what made us strong. And in the past, when we had enemies in front of us, when we had problems around us, it was not the strongest person going there, beating the enemy. It was just putting other people together, because then we as human beings are the strongest. And today, I'm taking a look in your eyes. You guys are a community. And when you hear that the world tells us we need all of these stuff in our world, then your job is to remember each and everyone around yourself that, hey guys, we were born like this. And when you take a look at the world out there, we have a lot of problems out there. And we hope that technology can help us to solve this. We were born to do this. So everything you are doing, guys, is much, much more than just having some technological knowledge. A lot of people are lost in the world these days. And one of my role models, Viktor Frankl, once said that it's the purpose you need to understand that is making you strong. It's not something from outside, it's your inner work. This is something we as human beings need every day. So for yourself, no matter if you're in the business, if you have just started, why are you doing the stuff? What is it what really drives you? And don't tell me I just do it because it's nice, because whenever you deploy something, whenever you implement something, you never do it for yourself. There's always a user at the end. There's always someone at the end who hopes that you are doing your job in a good way. Have you ever thought about it? That because you exist, someone else has maybe a good life? This is important as a human being, because today we have this big question, is AI going to survive us or human beings? It's always this, is this one surviving or this one? And I believe that we have to put the stuff together. And when the AI from the technological point of view is getting better, we as human beings need to become better. And there's so many things we have inside of us. Stuff we can also train here. Learning together, adapting together, moving together. Otherwise, we will end up just being an end user. And you know these people who are turning their car into a river, and they're like, yeah, Google Maps told me. And you're like, okay, but what's wrong with your eyes? No, I saw the river, but Google Maps told me. And this is where we're heading these days as society. And people are like, okay, how should I deal with the world? I'm sometimes afraid of the future. And you know, we always have both parts inside of us. The people who believe everything is going to be fine, and a part of us who is like, oh shit, I think we can't make it. This is something we all have in common. No matter who you are, where your status is in society, what's your income, what's your age, we all are human beings. And I truly believe that we need optimism. And the good thing about you guys is you are dealing with technologies every day that can help people having better solutions tomorrow, helping companies become better in what they do. But we at the core need to stay optimistic, but this is something we need to implement for ourselves. And also for me, sometimes it's not that easy, to be honest, but I understood one thing in my life. When I started in technology, it was like having a magic stick. And one of my professors once said to me after I graduated, you know, Ali, With these technologies you have in your hand and your brain and your heart, you're one of the enablers of the future. And this is something I want to tell you. If you want it or not, if you want to have a better future for yourself, not only as a pro in your job, only as a human being, you need to become the enablers of the future. And sometimes people ask me, is there a formula to understand how to stay human? And I say, yeah, there are 4 pillars you just need to know. Every day, although it's not easy, try to stay curious. Be courage. This is very important. Be noble. It means understand who you are and be good to others. Try to be the wise person in the room. Ask the right questions. Go deep. Always stay driven, because this life is going to end one day. And until that, we should try to use everything out of it. The last thing is, you were born as an original. Please don't start to be a copy of others. Something in the world thought it's good giving you a life. You have a heart that beats for you without doing anything. And if you want to remember these 4 pillars, always remember today. Thank you very much.